Alright, let me know when y'all are ready. Alright, let's do this. I want to kind of get an idea of what your rotations are right now. Okay. Nothing crazy right here. I mean, we're on defense for a moment. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, right here. I'm gonna try to keep these points general. This is a point where you have somebody on offense trying to keep up pressure on the ball, and wait, I'm not even looking at the right team, am I?
No.
Oh my god. All right, well, wait. That's right, because I was looking at War Rat, because War Rat was on our team last season. Oh my god, I am a silly goose. Damn. Silly goose time. Nice, good luck. You're gonna run into a lot of situations like this because everybody does, where you're both not sure who's gonna go for the ball. If you see a ball and you want to go for it, call for that shit as early as you possibly can. Just be like, I'm going for this, and just go. Just make your decision. You're gonna find a lot of times, especially at these ranks, that if you just make sure that you've got one person confident and they're going on the ball always, that you're gonna win a lot of games. That could have been free possession right there. Instead, now you've forced a 50, and your team is in an entire awkward spot, all because neither of you said, I'm gonna go. Nothing horrible here, but you have a lot of space between your team right now. Generally, you're gonna want to cover like a little, or be a little closer, like maybe a triangle formation like this, right? If you have somebody on offense, second man, generally maybe they're positioning somewhere around here, right? And third man would be somewhere around here. That's just a general rule. It can depend on whether your team has possession or whether you're in transition or recovering or whatever. But this is just a general, like, if you have possession, you've got boost, you've got time to set up your position. This is a fairly decent triangle to be in. And generally, if you're second man here, unless you see time, going for this mid boost is sketchy. Here I would just, if you're second man, just stick to this little pad area right here. So these 6 pads, that's a good amount of boost to have there. And third man, just make sure you're supporting your team well. So here, as third man, you want to make sure you're ready to support whatever 50 is happening with first man. If we go a little back, let's see. Just see how you ended up. Okay, so it looks like just some recovery stuff. But yeah, just in general, like, that's a really good position to be in, is just that kind of triangle. good. Okay, we're gonna focus in a little bit here. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, for sure. Bounce is weird. You don't expect it, right? You're on the wall here now. Okay, yeah, I think that's just mechanical error. Because once you're here, right, I'd say, I mean, just mechanically, you just turned down a little too early, right? If you had just stayed up, you would have been in perfect position, stayed angled that way. You could have just, gotten a touch on the ball. Um, this is a good mechanic to practice, is practice getting the ball off the backboard. I would especially suggest just every time you have an opportunity, whenever you're playing ranked or whenever you're just playing on your own, just try to make a touch off the backboard. Because granted, quite a bit of the time, it's going to end up being a pass right to the opponent and a banger shot on net. It just builds that skill for you. And that's like a super huge skill to have in threes, is the ability to control the ball off your backboard and get it into safety. That happens I probably do that like 3 times a game easily in threes. Maybe on average. But... Oh my. Almost scored off that. That would just be in this situation. I think Mile, you're a little too close. This happens to everybody. Gotcha. Okay, so right, I see. Right. So in this situation, and this is something that took me a moment to learn, it Hugs has ball cam on, so Hugs has no idea what's going on. Like Hugs has vision this direction, right? So if you see this ball coming this direction and you're like, I want that ball, I'm in position for it, just calm that you're going for the ball. It let Hugs rotate behind you, because since Hugs doesn't know you're behind him, Hugs has to like make sure somebody's there. He can't just assume you're behind him and leave, because if you're not behind him, they have so much space to work with, right? So generally the person with more field of like the whole play is going to be the one who's going to do the most calming. You as which is generally third man. So in this case you have full vision of the play, so you should be the one kind of instructing where you are and when you're going to go for the ball. Nothing crazy here. I would say that generally, okay, Hugs, you went for a ball and you missed it. Yeah, that was definitely, he was up way before you. Um, you kind of just have to wait for his touch at that point. You can't really go for that. It left you recovering so far away, and then Mile, you're grabbing boost. Now you've left. Granted, Blawdog has possession, right? But all he can really do with it is take a 50 or like toss it up and try to make it awkward for them. Because yeah, he's kind of in an awkward spot. The only thing with this situation is because blue team is so spread out, they have no chance to take advantage of this situation right here. But they could have led this into a 2v1 against Mile on net. And that could have been like a really awkward spot. So I guess just general point here would be when you're on defense, try to make sure to not space out too much or leave the play too far. There was a overcommit from Hugs, and then Mile went to grab boost. If you see time, it's fine to grab boost. It wasn't horrible, but like, yeah, if you see time, that's a good time to grab boost. But until then, you want to wait and make sure your team has a good recovery and everything. That was a clean redirect. Yep. Hugs could have been there, but he just got bumped by War Rat. There is. I see. Okay. Yeah, I think Hugs, you turned in a little early here. So you're third man. You have Blawdog and Mile first and second man. They're coming up field. Mile is playing for a 50 this direction, which is good because this whole entire side of the field is open. So if Blawdog gets that 50 out here, Mile's in a good spot. But Hugs, you're just a little too close. And you'll see why you're a little too close because you end up getting bumped and then he hits a nutty redirect, right? If
you know Hugs isn't in here, right?
Oh, it's
he'll watch it. Here. Yeah, he'll watch it in the future.
Okay.
Yeah,
my bad. Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Hugs is a little too close. If Hugs just chills back here, back post, he definitely has a shot at saving that ball. That might even be an easy save. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell, but just make sure if you're last man that you're giving enough space for your team to go upfield. You have to wait for your team to get like till you're sure your team has solid possession as last man before you move upfield. And as a general rule, you could say until like first and second man are past half court, last man should be like relatively far back, maybe close to net. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I see that. No, that was a little awkward. I would say not horrible. Like War Rat got a touch over you. That's fine. Blooduck, are you in here? Or are you a high court of demo?
I'm just on the team. I'm just watching.
Gotcha. Only Miles in here.
Okay. Yeah, from the actual game.
Got you. I'd say Blawdog was fine here. This was mainly Hugs. This is antsiness. Basically, if Hugs has a teammate behind him here, then that's fine. But right now, Hugs is last man, so he has to wait for the touch, especially since they jumped away before him. A lot of times, I'd say just trust yourself to make saves. Because if you're last man, you generally want to give as much time as possible for your team to get back. So if you can, if you don't have the space to challenge or anything like that, just trust yourself to make a save as opposed to trying to go out of net and 50ing before they can even get a chance at a shot. Because that's a savable shot right there. That's a very slow shot. The way they went up for it, that's just a little bit more patience as last man will help a lot. Oh, what a 50 from Mile. Nice work. Hell yeah. That's a good cutoff from Hugs right there. It's really important to make sure you don't let the other team set up possession. A huge part of threes is pressure, which is why rotation is such an important aspect of threes, because the better you're rotating and the more smooth it is, the more pressure you're going to have on the opponents. So this touch right there basically takes away all their pressure instantly because they don't get the touch they want. They wanted a touch on net, maybe a banger, force a save, right? Or maybe they could have had an opportunity at pass, but that touch just cut off all their pressure instantly and forced this really awkward play. Now look at this. He can't really get to the ball. War Rat's in the corner. Ken's in your net. Yeah, you're kind of double committing here. This is another calm thing. This is just like earlier in the game. Just somebody call that ball, right? Somebody call and just be going for it. Yeah. Especially like when you're working as a team, you want to be able to have confidence in your play, and you're not going to be able to have confidence if you're not willing to call people off balls and make sure like you're the one going full force, right? If you call a ball, you don't want to be half-assing that ball. You want to be going like that's your ball. My music is too loud, personally. Oh my god, I'm in. There we go. iTunes.
That is insane.
It's because I have Apple Music. I don't have Spotify. It's not my fault, I swear. Oh god. This is just keep in mind positioning here. Again, we're gonna try to want generally a triangle of position. Like when you have this possession, this is what you're gonna want. So Blawdog should be somewhere around here. Hugs wants to be across net generally. If you see like if you have space and time to set up everything, then you want second man to be across net, because if first man's coming up this direction, it's so much easier to get a shot here from this direction, right? That's super easy compared to, I'm gonna clear all that, make it easier to see. Compared to from Hug's position now, you have to chase the momentum of the ball from Hug's position here to get a touch, rather than going towards the ball from the other direction. So yeah, just generally, if you have time, if first man has possession and they have time setting up the ball, second man's going to want to be across net. I will mention transition play before this replay's over, or maybe at the end of it, but oh, another double commit, another all comms, right? The second you think about going for that ball, go for it. This could be remedied with comms, but actually, I'd say more so this is... Yeah. Blawdog is very antsy to get into the play. Blawdog, here, you have to trust your teammates, and even though Hugs is backwards, and yeah, he's not really ready for a pass across net right now, you can't like make up for your teammates' missed responsibilities. You have to cover for them after they screw up their responsibilities. For example, like if somebody loses a challenge, you aren't trying to cover their loss of the challenge. You're trying to play whatever is happening after the loss challenge. So in this case, Blawdog shouldn't be coming up to cover Hugs because he's not there for a shot. Blawdog should be waiting back and playing for when Hugs does get their touch. Another option would be is if Blawdog sees that Hugs isn't ready for a shot and Blawdog knows he is, he can call Hugs off and make sure that Hug rotates behind him. But the worst thing to do is just go without saying anything. and then you've left your team in a really awkward spot. Here's another case of trusting. Hugs just... Blawdog is already on the wall. If Hugs should be able to see Blawdog right now, Hugs just has to trust him. In threes, you have to trust your teammate, because otherwise you're going to end up doing this. Right? If Hugs just drops to the ground, at least he has a chance to save the shot on the follow-up. But there he has no chance at all. That's pretty good rotation and positioning right there. Keeping up pressure and everything. And it leads to a goal. Not much even happened really here. There weren't very many touches on the ball, but, well, Hugs kind of went up for that ball pretty quickly, forcing a weird play from them. But there weren't very many touches on the ball from your team, but because you had such good rotation and positioning and pressure, it just led to a goal. Because if you keep up that pressure, eventually their defense is going to crack, right? You keep taking their offensive boost, and just keep forcing them to panic and get in weird positions. And then it just leads to a shot that just goes in eventually. Am I on... What? Where's my controller not working? Oh my gosh, I have to plug my controller back in. It stopped working. Okay, here we go. Where is this? Blawdog's touch right here. This is a huge moment right here. Right here, Blawdog has time. He can take a look and see who's on the field, right? He can see where everybody is. He could pass this back to the corner for Mile, or he could even just get around, dribble this ball, and take it back to his own corner. Anything except this, right? Because all that does is toss the ball straight away to War Rat. Whenever you have time to, like, you know where all the other players are, and you can take a look at them, and you have like time on this ball, you should be figuring out where you want to touch this ball. You should be constantly thinking about possession. If I'm touching this ball, either it's going to myself or it's going to one of my teammates, right? The only other cases would be if you're saving the ball or shooting the ball. Those are your options, but you don't want to just toss the ball away like that. That could have been really bad. If War Rat didn't then immediately toss the ball away, that could have been a really, really sketchy situation. Nice. Got a goal. Let's see. That's, yeah, not horrible. I would say this, watch your challenges as last man. Because, I mean, obviously that is really scary at this point now. Yeah, I would just say, generally, when you're last man, if you don't have possession of the ball, you want to basically spend all that time buying time for your teammates to get behind you. Unless you know 100% sure you can get a good challenge or you can get good touch, then you're fine. But otherwise, you're forcing your teammates to try to save a ball on recovery, which is just way harder to do. Here's another comms thing. One of you's got to call the other off. Yeah. This is just... Right. Here's the thing, when you see him turn, you're very, very close to him right here. If you were back here or something, you could maybe like chill and I'm gonna turn on Do Not Disturb so all these notifications stop appearing. Oh my gosh, I keep being in how did this happen? That's better. That's good. I moved my mouse. Oh my gosh. All right. Perfect.
We went to the Oceania servers for a second.
Damn. Yeah, I'd say Mile, if you were like a little further back, you could have maybe had more time to like call him off. But yeah, you kind of force yourself into, because you don't exactly know whether he's going or not, you're too close to do anything about it. You have to turn off with him now, unless you're gonna like just go up this wall and get this ball right now, right? Yeah, because you do want somebody close enough to make sure that they don't have a free touch, which Bloodhog ended up turning on it and it worked out. But just generally, yeah, I'd say if you don't really know what your teammate is doing, either call them off and go for the ball or just stay back and wait. Obviously, the worst thing you can do in this situation is get really close to them and well, it's not the worst thing to do. There are worse things you could do. But it's not the best idea to get really close to them, and because then if they're still playing weird, you have to kind of read their weird play from really up close, and you don't have time to react to whatever happens. Oh, nice. Nice, got a goal. Oh, and wait, does this go into overtime? Oh my god! Alright, we might have to speed this up because I have to get to 2's replay review as well. Although I'm gonna be honest, 2's replay reviews generally, I mean, there's a lot to say. There's not as much importance. Let's see. Oh yeah, just kind of rotating into the play. Honestly, yeah. It's honestly not even horrible if that mid boost is there. I'm not even sure if it's there because Hugs You to Death can't go for this boost, right? Because they have to be ready for the balls. So it's actually not the worst, but sometimes, like, if the ball's kind of on the ground over here, or like they're trying to fake challenge or whatever, then rotating back post is really, or rotating front post into play is really, really bad. If the ball's like in the air or they're already going for it, the front post rotation isn't the worst, as long as you're just like zooming out of there, right? Like, it doesn't fuck up too much stuff, but generally going down the mid path is just a little cleaner. Let me see. Oh my god, so many saves. Let's skip a little bit of this overtime. Bad touch here. And that he may have been going for a pinch. I think that's kind of what it looks like. Yeah, he just missed it with the nose of his car. But this is just generally a mechanical error. But overall, just that's another reminder, I guess, to focus on possession. If you're in the corner, don't be too worried if you're in your own corner, because like if you're in your corner and you've got teammates backing you up, there's no threat on net right now. So you have a little time to decide what you're gonna do, right? Here, Blawdog has a lot of options. If they don't trust themselves to take this up the wall, or if they're low boost, they can like look for a 50 on Ken, try to make sure it, you know, kind of. I mean, as long as it doesn't 50 out mid, you can just focus a 50, or they can slow down the play, fake challenge. There's a lot of things you can do in the corner. The main things you want to avoid when working in the corner is you don't want them to get an infield pass out mid, because obviously, right in corner, generally this area is safe, kind of. This area is what you want to avoid on defense. You don't really want the ball going mid. So if it's in either of your corners, just relax for a moment and figure out what you're gonna do, right? That's a good clear. Big fakes. This is another time I will mention comms. Somebody has to call that they're gonna go for the ball, right? In this, yeah, I was gonna say that as well. I would say if you're gonna just grab the boost and go for the ball. And I wouldn't worry too much. Like, if you're gonna be the one going for the ball and you're low boost, take this boost. Don't worry about like leaving Blawdog this boost, right? Because you obviously want generally you want the person going for the ball to have boost, especially if it's this far away. There are some contingencies. For example, there are times where like if they're doing a ground play and you have like maybe two people back, right? And one of them's low boost, you like if there's somebody doing a ground play mid, let's see if I can angle this a little better. If there's somebody doing a ground play mid and like let's say Hugs here has low boost, but they're right near the ball, and you have somebody back here who has full boost, then you could just chill and leave the full boost guy to try to save whatever comes next, because the low boost guy can basically like force a challenge into a shot, and then the person with more boost can try to save the shot. I hope that made sense. But basically, yeah, I don't know. Clanger after clanger. This isn't bad rotation. Unfortunately, all the pressure was lost because of one miss on the ball, which is why threes takes a while to learn, but this wasn't a bad idea. It was just a mechanical error. Ooh. I would say if you're first man and you've just made a play on the ball and you aren't going for the ball again, try to get into a position that's helpful for your team as quickly as possible. So you see Hugs rotation here. He just went for the ball and then he flips midfield. This is their possession. The ball's certainly going this direction. Hugs is going to be almost completely useless over here. unless they toss the ball to one of you and you get an upfield pass, Hugs is completely useless. And even then, there's better positions to be in for an upfield pass rather than right midfield. Okay, let me clear that. So after your first man, just try to get into a good position for your team as soon as possible. Hug should be rotating midfield. He should be looking for... Hug should rotate midfield after that first man touch. He should look for a bump. Maybe if War Rat's around, he can bump War Rat. If the other teammate were somewhere over here, he could bump him. If nobody's there, then you want to grab a couple pads and watch the play carefully. If Blawdog gets a touch out here, then you can go for this corner boost, right? But if Blawdog doesn't get that touch and he needs help, then you finish your rotation back post and try to save the shot. You want to just have smooth rotations off your first man plays. So after you make a play on the ball, just start to rotate infield or back post. This is specifically on defense. Start to rotate infield or back post and watch the play and see if you're needed. And I have to alt tab to right click. Go. See what time is it? 4:42. So let's just speed up to the last. And then you got scored on, it looks like, because of a comms issue. Both you and Blawdog wanted to, or both Hugs and Blawdog wanted to go for the ball, and I'm guessing neither of them called it. They both just went, and then it led to a goal. Unsavable. All right. While I pull up the next replay, what are the main points from that replay? Lower positioning and how you rotate. Yup.
I think possession was a big one. Take your time and make sure that you or your team has possession before you're advancing into the play.
Yup. I agree with that. And then last thing I'd say, a last main point is comms, right? Calming, if you've got that ball, just call it out. Be confident in your comms. Make sure that you're telling people what you're going to do. You're not questioning it, right? You want to just inform people that this is what I'm gonna do, and then if they say no, I've got a better idea, then you can trust them, right? But generally, you just want to just be very confident in what you're doing. Let's see. All right, I'm looking for it. This must be it because that's the one that I have twice. Nope, that was not it. How was that not it? Oh, it was the same score line, but let's see. This was on July 29.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, gotcha. That's right. I was looking at July 29, but yeah, it was July 28 because I'll try a nice. Yes, I see that. I'll try a fly view because but like if I see that fly view isn't the best for 2v2, I might move to just a player view. I think this might work out though. I intentionally spent more time on threes because threes is a much more complicated game mode. Oh. With twos, pressure is still important in twos. I would say a big part of twos is watching when you're grabbing the two mid boosts. So this positioning right here from Sky and Mile is not like you're not putting pressure on them at all. You're not forcing anything. You're basically saying we're gonna let you have possession in the corner and start an attack on us, right? And I'd say just that. Mile, here, you had so much time to be grabbing pads here, right? And then you missed all of them and you went for mid boost, right? Generally, if you miss a boost, almost never try to make up for it, right? Like if you miss a big boost, don't turn around and go back for that big boost. Just accept that you missed it and grab some pads or follow a new path. Like sometimes, like if you're in rotation and coming back and you miss this mid boost, just go back for corner boost and turn up, or grab pads around, right, and turn up. The the only exception to that would pretty much be if you're on defense and you need that boost and you have time to like turn back and get that corner boost, right? Or if like nothing's happening on the ball and you just have that little extra time. Obviously, because people miss boosts occasionally, it happens, but you just want to make sure that you aren't covering for it by putting yourself out of play for a different boost. Yeah, I mean, you see it. You're clearly beat to the ball, so this is I guess just as last man, especially another case of if you're not sure about it, what you can do with this ball, or if you can make it to the ball before the other person as last man, just err on the side of patience. Generally, as last man, you want to err on the side of patience. In my lobbies, if I went for that mid boost here, we would be scored on right now. I try to point out like stuff that not only will get you to higher ranks, but that you can use in higher ranks. Just recognize that the way this ball is going, because the ball ends up behind this mid boost, that's why it's super dangerous. If the ball ends up in front of the mid boost, then by all means steal that mid boost from this guy, never let him have it. But because it ended up behind the mid boost and it's bouncing inward, this means that Bad Loaf can loop around on this and get a shot. That makes sense. Yeah, I get that. Totally. I want to look at this from Sky's perspective. I'd say here, this is a little bit of panic from Sky. It almost led to a goal. I think Sky here needs to trust herself to get a save. Because if Badloaf shoots that ball from that angle, Sky will be able to save it for sure. Like, if she's anywhere in net, like if she's back post, she'll be able to save it. But just going in too early, I mean, leads to that. You can already see why that ended up poorly. That's another case of trust yourself to make a save as opposed to needing to challenge the ball before they shoot it. Especially if you're last man. This is a great opportunity for an infield pass. Mile, you're in perfect position for a pass, right? That's a goal for sure. Granted, I think this is what Sky would have done if she had a little more time, but I think just a little more reflexes, recognizing that if you see two people in the corner right here, this whole area is open. So just toss that ball out because it's going to be your possession no matter what.
I think Sky was also empty on boost there because she'd missed the corner like 30 seconds previously and hadn't picked up any pads or anything leading
Right.
into that play.
She was empty on boost, so it would have helped if she grabbed this one pad. That would have been fine. But also, if she had, I think this would be reflexes and just utilizing power slide here. I think it was a mechanics thing where if that ball had rolled out a little more easily for her, she would have done that. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Infield passes are huge at this level of twos. Like, I swear they will work so often. They will work almost 100% of the time if it's a solid enough infield pass and your teammate's in semi-good position. That's a solid-ass shot. Just mechanical error. Good challenge. Nice. Sure. I didn't know if I wanted to bring this up because it's kind of a more minor point. But here you see Sky stop for a moment when she's trying to read this ball. Granted, she does have the time to do this. It's scary to stop your momentum. It's not the worst, but I think if the other team was in a little better position, I'd say, yeah, it's not horrible. If you were just in like ranked or casual or something, I would 100% just go up for this as quickly as possible to kind of try to grind those reads and mechanics skills. But game sense wise, if you have the time and you know you have the time, might as well take it. Okay, I want to point this out. This is great positioning from you, Mile. This is something I learned from watching a Spook Look video. He has a great video on his channel on twos. It's like 45 minutes long, and it's like titled like I played 100 games of twos, and here's what I learned, something like that. When you're second man in twos and like collision is happening, one thing you don't want to be doing when a moment of interaction is happening is you don't want to be flipping. What you do want to be doing is you want to have your nose pointed towards the ball. And Mile, you're pretty close. Like, that's pretty close, but you could be turned just a little closer. You want your nose pointed towards the ball because you don't know where this ball is going to go, right? It could go out here and it could go out here. I mean, it could go any range in that direction. It could even go behind them, but your best bet to get the ball after this challenge is if your nose is pointed toward the ball and you're watching carefully and you're ready for whatever happens. So just like as second man, make sure whenever, and this is an example of you doing a good job in this case, but as second man, make sure that you're watching first man very carefully, and when like they're getting a challenge or they're getting a touch on the ball, you're ready in that moment for whatever happens. You generally don't want to be going for boost in that moment. You don't want to be flipping back. You don't want to be having your back face towards the ball. You want to be ready for whatever happens, grabbing pads, keeping up as much momentum as you need, and keeping your nose pointed towards the ball.
Okay,
Like,
bad timing, but I have to take off.
Okay, yeah,
to
for
go
sure.
to I have a work meeting I have to get back online for. Yeah, thanks. You guys keep going. Jesse, thanks again for doing this.
Sure
I'll be
thing.
back in like an hour. Yeah, thanks again. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Yeah, however long you've got, I've got like another hour-ish until I have to leave. So honestly, I mean, if you had another replay you wanted, like if you wanted to send me one of your replays to look at, because Mile, we went over yours, but High Court of Demo, I don't know what your non-nickname name is.
Camelot. Sir
Camelot?
Camelot or
Gotcha. Yeah,
that's
Camelot,
fine.
if you wanted to send me a replay, if not, you know, it's all up to you. I'm
It's
just
not easy. I could maybe find one. I don't know.
for sure. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll let this play run through, and then I'll give you guys a couple tips on training stuff you can do. Mainly stuff I learned from my college coach, who I had for a moment, who is SSL. He's actually on a semi-pro team with King Ranny.
Oh, nice.
Let's see what happened here. Everything leads to everything, right? This is a moment where you have time on the ball, right? You see that? Taking time when you have time, huge. In threes, it's important, but there's less moments you'll have time on the ball in threes. In twos, you'll have a lot of moments where you have time on the ball. So learning when to recognize when you have time on the ball and what to do with that time is important. Here for Sky, I don't know how much boost she has. Let's find out. This is important info that we need to know. She has 12 boost. Okay, that's something to work with. As long as she didn't have 0, right? Granted, she could have grabbed like another. She had at least one more pad she could have grabbed on her rotation there. Happens. Yes, if she had. Well, she kind of flipped into it. Not if she power slid. Yeah, that. Right. Oh, gotcha. No. That one right there. Yeah, I would say generally this flip is like rough. I would just use the 12 boost Sky has here. Sky should use the 12 boost she has here. Take a little wider rotation. Sky can come through here, keep up momentum, use the boost she has, take a little wider rotation. And then that would have avoided this stop you see. She stops all her momentum, and that's the reason she doesn't get the ball, because she has to wait. She can't drive past the goal, because obviously once you drive past the goal, you're not saving the ball. Just a little wider rotation here. Generally, if you have time, this is the reason we want to rotate back post, because the wider you come at that the angle of the shot, the easier it will be to save. But in some instances, you don't have time to rotate full back post. So just get as much width as you can and make sure you're coming at an angle and not straight on. And it'll make your save so much easier. Oop, that's not how you do that. Mile, do you want to look at this from your POV? Would that be helpful? For sure. Okay.
Well, let's see. I could maybe pull up one. I don't know if any of these are wins or losses or what.
My God.
Because I don't ever name any of them, so.
You could have half flipped. I think you just got too close here. Right. Here's the thing. Yeah, you didn't expect Bad Loaf to cover, but you also, by being this close, you didn't give yourself time to react to whatever he's, because you have momentum forwards. You had to stop it all when you realized you were too close, right? And now you're forced to do some weird stuff. You could have. You didn't even have to half flip here. You could have maybe jumped and gunned that ball there. But either way, just playing a little more back because you're last man, because Sky's right here, especially. But give yourself time to react to the weird shit that they're gonna do, because a lot of weird shit happens. Yeah, that's good. Just generally, this is true for twos and threes. Um, if you're on defense, you want to make sure somebody is, and they have possession of the ball. You want to make sure somebody is forcing them to do something, right? If you have more than one defender, you never want to have two of them sitting and waiting or one sitting and waiting, right? In general, you want to keep up that momentum. In threes, it's a lot more forgiving for first man, where basically if you have two teammates behind you, it doesn't matter if they're in the air. It doesn't matter if, like, the only case you don't want to be like rushing in for that ball is if they're like way far back, right? If they're way far back, then you just want to close that distance. But if they're like up in the air dribbling, if they're taking a shot, just jump at that as first man in threes, because you just want to make sure that you're actually contributing to the defense and letting your teammates rotate in around you, so you can go for that ball and then focus on recovering and get behind teammates, or maybe you get a lucky challenge out of it and now you're in a really good spot. In twos, your ability to jump at a ball as first man is less forgiving, but this is just like a moment where Sky does really well, although I would say she should have gone maybe a little sooner, unless she recognized that the bad loaf was taking his time. But just, this is basically a good cutoff, like making sure you're not having two people cover net, but you're having two lines of defense at as much as you possibly can. Mile, are you like? Did you want to finish out this replay or? Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's not a lot left. I was just wondering how you're feeling, because you've taken in a lot of info already. For sure. This is something I see people in the, Diamond 3, C1, C2 rank do a lot, is not utilize the backboard. You, especially since there's no threat on net right now, you don't need to be covering the net. What do you mean? I would be on the backboard. Mm-hmm. Um. Right. Right, yeah. Yes, this is absolutely what I would do in this scenario. Yeah, backboard defense is something. It's a mechanic that you have to learn right. But here's the thing. If I'm chilling here, let's give a scenario. I go up backboard, right? The ball comes out to Jelly, and Jelly. I'm gonna make this a little clearer and move the play up a little forward. Okay. Jelly hits the ball, right? I'm on back wall right now. I'm chilling here. If Jelly hits this out this direction, right? Okay, but if Badloaf isn't flipping and Jelly hits this pass out to Badloaf hits it in. That's fair play. They scored on me. Like, okay. But barring that, Jelly would have to hit a clanger top right corner for me to not get this ball from here. If I'm on the back wall here and they hit it here, I turn this direction and comfortably touch the ball or follow the ball off the wall. It's not going to get here before I can get there. If what's most likely happening in this scenario, which you will see, is the ball comes up this direction, right? It's much more advantageous for you to be on the back wall, especially since you only have 30 boosts in this scenario. Being on the back wall conserves all your boost. It gives you time, and it lets you figure out where you want to send this ball. It gives you way more options. But instead, when you went up here, you waited for a moment, and then you saw this ball coming here, right? I think with Jelly's positioning, you could have even went up the backboard after you had seen the touch. But what you end up doing is you end up spending all your 30 boosts to get a touch here, which is going to be an awkward touch. You had not a lot of momentum, which is understandable, but you did have a lot of momentum, so all your momentum is going to be like getting that height and getting a touch on the ball, which means your touch isn't going to be very strong. So your touch, most likely, best case scenario, it kind of like rolls on the wall this direction, and Jelly, depending on where he is, right, that's probably Jelly's ball. Worst case scenario, it bounces off the corner and back this direction, and you don't want the ball to be in this scenario right now because you're last man. So that's a clean ass shot on net if it's there. Let's see what happens. So right, because Jelly went and Badloaf is nowhere to be seen, it works out. This is why it works out, because Jelly ended up going for something, a ball or a bump. Yeah, he ended up getting the bump, and Badloaf is nowhere to be seen, right? This is a very far rotation from Badloaf. Badloaf should be here right now. That's Badloaf's ball. That should be Badloaf's ball. So yeah, Jelly is fine going for a bump and going for this ball, because he expects Badloaf to be behind him. But even Jelly could have fake challenged this once they see you up and just turn around this direction. Chill here. I go up the wall, clang it off maybe backboard to teammate or try to get a shot on net. Yeah. Especially since like there's no shot threat really right now. It's a tight angle. Maybe it's doable. You have a little more time than you think you do here. But yeah, I think the more main point there is this is a case where you could totally use the backboard. I would get used to backboard mechanics and learn to, learn to be confident in them. But either way, just start grinding them out. Start practicing playing off the backboard more. There are definitely custom training packs that deal with backboard stuff. Yeah, nothing crazy there. Nice. Good work. Nice. I love this play. I don't know why, but this is my favorite play, is if you beat them to the ball off kickoff and the other person went to the opposite corner for boost, absolutely take their boost. You have two options here. I think you did the right thing because Jelly is there. There are some situations where you could have Sky take the ball and you could go for a bump because Jelly's last man, right? Oh my, where's that pinch? But yeah, I love that kind of play. You recognize you have the time to grab their boost and it's your possession cleanly. Yeah. Game sense wise, I would say don't turn on this ball right here because Sky's not back yet. Mechanics wise, I'd just say it, right. And see, exactly. Right. And that's a really, really good strategy when you have somebody ready to back up their force touch, right? But when you don't have somebody to back it up, right? I mean, Bad Loaf kinds of scuffs the shot and gets it really slow, right? So Sky can save it. But if Bad Loaf had gotten a good chip shot, or if they had decided to maybe hook it to this side, they had essentially a plethora of options here. If you had waited just a little bit longer to challenge, right? Because since they're dribbling, they can't really get a power shot past you, so there's not much of a reason to turn right then. However, if you do want to turn, my suggestion is take this turn a little wider, as long as you know you have time, because obviously you don't want them to be able to just dribble it right in here, right? Take it a little wider, utilize that power slide button. But overall, this is going to be a sketchy turn no matter what, right? Because you're not coming from in net, you're coming from outside of net. So yeah, you're more covering touches this direction and less touches on net. So yeah, I'd say like when you have time, this is just a really, really good time to just shadow, right? Force them to head here and then try to close the distance while you're shadowing so you can maybe cut it off this direction. Because it's a lot easier to cut it off through your momentum than it is to try to shift your momentum this direction and then cut it off. I love slow plays in corners. You never need to rush offense, right? Unless you're down by one with 10 seconds left, you don't need to rush offense. This is great. You forced a really awkward play. Yeah, I was going to say it would have been nice for you to get that boost from them, but there's no way you could have done that from your position. They were in front of you. That's a really good play. That's great positioning from Sky. A good attempt. That's a minute point, so I'll leave it out. I suck at leaving stuff out. I would say Sky here has just, if Sky just hit the brakes right before she touches this ball, she gives herself time to have a little more space in between her and the wall, and a little more time to hit that ball. Those saves are a whole mechanic in and of themselves. Yeah, I see that. I'd say this flip right here. Yep, you see that? That's what put you out of position. Only if you needed to flip because you didn't have enough boost to gain that speed and you were giving them an open net. That's the only case where you would flip there. Oh, you had no boost. For sure. Maybe it looks like you have no boost. I would say maybe flip for these two pads. You know? Then you can. That makes sense. Yeah. Just recognize you have a little bit of time before they're. Because they are dribbling the ball, right? The second they flipped there, they chose to dribble this ball. Yeah. Honestly, if I have ball cam here and I'm seeing this right now, I would be looking for pads at least on my way back. Right. You actually missed 3. If you could have gotten this and turned in wide here, maybe not that wide, but this. Bang. Yeah. But that is a rough situation, right? You're recovering as last man with no boost. They have possession. It was an okay flick. It didn't have a lot of power, but it was okay. Oh, the next one. Close up. I love when you leave this ball right here. You see there's no shot opportunity, you just go grab their boost. That's so huge. Such a huge thing in twos. Once you see Sky turn for that ball, that's Sky's ball. Just now you're second man, right? Yeah. Even if even if let's say you're solo queue and this is somebody you have not been getting along with, right? You're just not clicking and vibing. You just have to accept it, right? Because this isn't a bad turn from Sky. It keeps solid possession. Right. All right, what do you think I'm going to say here? Pretty much. Patience is the last man. Going up for this is, first of all, you jump after Jelly jumps, which, especially as last man, very scary, but generally you never want to do. If you have the same amount of momentum and you both jump at the same time, and you're relatively the same distance from the ball, it's pretty clear who's going to beat you to the ball, barring any mechanical failures. Yeah, that was last man. That could have been a shot. They just grounded it. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it wasn't that long. Let's see what happens. The events before you get scored on. Gotcha. Oh, okay. Oh my. That was a crazy flick. Yeah. Right. Oh my, that was a. Oh my, that flick. You'd see that flick in Master League. That was crazy. Right. Yeah. Overall, I would just say if you do want to avoid this, it's hard to expect this, right? But I would have just avoided grabbing this mid boost, because you gave him the space to pull off that flick, right? Right. Yeah, you could have also just you could have just kept your momentum and saved it as well. It's true.
Yeah.
Right. It was crazy.
Mhm.
All right. Camelot, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So did you want to replay?
Yeah.
Have a replay you want?
Sure.
Okay.
Why the fuck not? Let me see if I can. Because I don't know if any of them are like wins or losses or what.
If you can you change the name to something like, I don't know.
Yeah, once I figure out what it is, I'll...
Yeah.